shower
For
wall.
those of you who wonder why John and Ken don't talk about those rising gas prices enough lately, the next story is for you. We'll have a couple of guests on.
I was in Jersey recently, and the prices were in the twos. We had a guy call from New Jersey.
Yeah, mocked us.
And said gas there's $2.35. I paid $4.39 just yesterday. So in some areas of California, it's $2 more than some areas in New Jersey. And it's going to get worse, and it's for the reasons we've told you since 2006 when Governor Schwarzenegger passed they called it AB32, which is the government geek code. What it was the Global Warming Act, which basically was a massive taxation act on business, and it's going to affect gas prices. It already is. I remember last year they said part of this bill was going to be implemented, and gas prices were going to go up maybe 15 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
And some in government said, no. Well, they did go up at the beginning of the year, but nobody noticed because that was in the middle of the big price crash.
Which we told listeners about. But now, the last couple of months, people again are irked by rising gas prices. And don't believe this isn't a factor in it, this Global Warming Solutions Act.
You voted for that governor. You voted for the legislature that wrote and passed this bill. And now you're going to get the rewards.
Am I mistaken?
What?
Didn't we have a vote a few years back to delay it or do something with it, and that lost?
Lost massively, yeah.
Yeah, because that Tom Steyer guy put a lot of money into keeping it going, something like that.
Yeah. No, there was to repeal it. Yeah, there was, but it lost big. And so now here are the consequences of all those votes. We're going to get. You may have heard of the Lundberg Letter. It is the leading publication analyzing the oil and gas industry. Trilby Lundberg is on radio all the time out here, and I'm sure television. She's the publisher, and then her director of research, Robin Anderson, and they have produced quite a report.
Oh, it's great.
And it's entitled, Thanks to the Global Warming Heated Regulations, California motorists get an FUC fee. And we're not making this up.
It's an acronym.
It's an acronym, FUC. And Trilby, we'll look to you for a pronunciation guide on that.
I'm sorry, it's so funny, but that is the name. There's so many acronyms, and the FUC acronym, of course, is Fuel Under the Cap, as I heard you fellows explaining. But we couldn't resist putting it in the title because that is what has happened. We have an engineered price spike that is engineered inside all of the legislature, the systems, the mechanisms, the fines, the fees, in order to force consumers to use less gasoline to save the planet.
And how much of this, how many of these, let me see how I want to word this. If you're going to talk in cents, how many cents is added to the price of gas right now because of these fees?
Well, to make clear, it doesn't mean it's going up or down by a certain amount because it's always going up and down. But we think, according to all this heavy research, it's very difficult to be sure, but somewhere between 50 cents and 60 cents per gallon of the average price in California is from this latest spate of regulations, the low carbon fuel standard and the fuel under cap.
50 to 60 cents?
Yeah, 50 or 60 cents already, and it's scheduled to rise. The way the architects and politicians want it is that it will get tighter and tighter and tighter around consumers' necks until we finally get the message and get out of our cars or drive vehicles that don't much resemble what people want to drive.
So this is on purpose. This is not an accident, an oversight, a mistake. They wanted this to happen, and it was supposed to be this dramatic.
Every time there's a ridiculous regulation that goes beyond what it needs to do for whatever environmental protection or consumer protection, it overdoes it and hurts everybody. First, they need to have a need for money. There's always a need to take money from residents. Second, you have to have a cause. They get a cause. The cause in this case is the notion that there is global warming and that we have to do something about it because we're at fault. And then third, you have to invent all these mechanisms and systems to collect the money and make sure that it's enforced. That's what they've done with this global warming business. Let's
talk to your director of research, Robin Anderson, who obviously was a big part of what went into this particular newsletter that you guys just put out. It is 14 pages. It is worth your while to read it. We have a link on the website. And this is the part that I don't think people understand. I'm reading from your report, the Global Warming Solutions Act dictates that California gasoline demand must shrink back to its 1990 level by the year 2020, which is just 5 years away. So, Robin, can you talk about the impact of all that on where gas prices may go if they're serious about that?
Yes. Hey, John and Ken.
Hi.
That's going to be a cut of 14.8% below what 2020 demand would have been. Of course, population growth is going to cause demand to go up if they don't do anything. So that, in order to get that kind of a cutback, you need to get a higher price. So what we estimated was it would have to rise to $6.44 a gallon in order to get people out of their cars.
So
$6.44 a gallon.
Is there a mechanism in this bill that gets them to $6.44 in 5 years?
Well, there are two mechanisms. One of them is the cap and trade. And by the way, so far it's not working. Demand is up so far this year, 3.5% in California. So they're going to have to get more strict. But the cap and trade, the FOOC fee, which we were talking about in the letter, right now it's only a little over 10 cents. But, of course, the regulation will have to get more strict to get the price higher and to get people out of their cars.
What I'm saying is it built into the law already?
Oh, yes, it was signed into law by Governor Schwarzenegger in 2006 that you referred to.
Right. So
the current governor wants it to be shrunk back even more drastically by 2030, and that's the column we have on our report called the Jerry Brown column, and that's the $13.63 per gallon.
Yeah, because I think, and this is worth pointing out, Trilby and Robin, but a lot of listeners don't know, is that up in Sacramento, they're working on new bills to augment the original AB32 bill to take this even further.
And yeah, the way it's built into the law is the price of the carbon permits can go up. It's cap and trade, and it's a market, and as the cost of those permits goes up, the cost at the pump will go up because, of course, refiners will pass it on.
Right. So the refiners have to pay what amounts to a tax in order to get the right to make those emissions, and they're going to pass it to us at the pump. So it could conceivably hit 644 within 5 years. That's not a scare number. That's a realistic number if they don't hit their goal.
Yes, and that's using a conservative elasticity on getting people to stop driving. Like, let's say if the price went to $8 a gallon, would the two of you be taking a bus to work?
No.
So that's what we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. It takes a pretty extreme price hike to get people to really cut back on driving.
Well, the thing is, for my case and most people's cases, there's no bus to work. That's not practically possible.
I could do it. It'd take like 5 hours to get here.
Well, you might have to take a bus pass because there's a new. After we went to press, we found out about a Cash for Clunkers program going on, thanks to Sacramento, and the rebate money in order to buy new vehicles that are cleaner, unquote. The poorer you are, the less income you have, and the cleaner you purchase your car, the rebate, the gift out of Sacramento goes up to about $12,000 per vehicle, plus up to about nearly $20,000 with other incentives added. And if you want to keep your older clunker car, your old dirty car that they call it in their language, you can keep if you have one of those but you don't want a so-called green car, then you can have your car destroyed and get a bus pass in return.
They'll give you a bus pass for melting down your car.
Correct.
All right, hang on.
Let's
we'll come back and talk more with Trilby Lundberg. She is, of course, the publisher of the Lundberg Letter, and we're looking at the latest Lundberg Letter, which has got quite the headline. Thanks to global warming heated regulations, California motorists get the FUC fee. It stands for Fuels Under Cap. And it's got these three scenarios as to where your gas prices might be headed. The 2014 average was $3.70. Under AB32, you just heard us talk about it. We're talking about $6.44, but there is a Jerry Brown scenario where the gas price, dollars per gallon, could be $13.63. We're also joined by Robin Anderson, the Director of Research at the Lundberg survey at lundbergsurvey.com is the website.
John and Ken Show, KFI, and Shannon has news.